Yeah, we're waiting on one more person. I see people coming in. Yeah, we were out the building the whole day yesterday, so coming back in trying to get, so y'all give us a little grace. If y'all need a name, just write on a sheet of paper and hang it out there. I'm waiting for the clerk. Oh, here the clerk is. Chief. He's just gonna be off. Okay. No, that's on the table. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the City Council special call meeting for the City of Jonesboro, December 16th, 2025, called to order at 10:05. Madam Clerk, when you get a moment.
Mayor Stoddard,
Present.
Councilmember Don Dixon,
Present.
Councilmember Powell,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Messick,
Present.
Councilmember Miller, Councilmember Alfred Dixon.
Present.
Let the record reflect that Councilmember Lester is by phone, and we do have a quorum.
Thank you so very much. First, let me just do a few disclosures. We had some mechanical, electrical, gas repairs, issues on yesterday. So if you hear any clanking, banging, or knocking, that is the repair people that are in the building. As a result, we've had to turn off the heat. So if it gets a little chilly, it's not that we don't want to keep you warm. It's just that we're not able to on this side of the building today. Is that correct, Chief? All right, and if by chance we do have to do emergency evacuation, I'll ask everybody to leave orderly through those doors to the left and immediately out the front door. All right. All right, we have an agenda before us. Before we get started, this is a special call meeting, and so there's always some things I like to put on the record to be clear, especially as it relates to the information and my concern regarding this council meeting. There's this concept, not necessarily a legal ruling, called a lame duck, and that's when elected officials are exiting out of office and therefore make decisions that financially obligate the incoming term. And so my concern about these last minute special call meetings to get things done in a rush for decisions that would actually impact the incoming council, particularly as it relates to financial burdens. So at this time, before the council presents any further, I want to make a brief statement for the record and for the citizens of Jonesboro, as well as the business owners and employees that joined us today. I'm going to read into the record a memorandum that addresses the October 22nd ordinance that you'll hear a lot of reference to today. The Downtown Development Authority's completed investigation and the status of the city's retained investigator. I am doing so because a transparent and fiscal responsibility require a clarity at this particular point. The October 22nd ordinance authorized a specific administrative investigation for a defined period of time. It was a very clear, defined purpose: to obtain facts regarding certain city and DDA financial transactions during a very limited period of time in 2025. Since that time, those facts have already been gathered and to some degree documented by the Downtown Development Authority, the entity with jurisdiction over those transactions. In addition, the city's retained investigator has acknowledged that his engagement exceeded the scope of the ordinance and has faulted further activity. As explained in the memorandum that I'll read, the DDA conducted an investigation on the same issue and determined that there was no illegal or inappropriate management or use of funds. Once the authorized factual inquiry has been completed, continued investigation no longer serves a legitimate governmental purpose. Reauthorizing or repackaging an investigation to revisit known facts would result in unnecessary expenditure of taxpayers' funds. Any motion to move forward with this investigation would raise serious accountability concerns of the council members who supported the investigation, as they will soon be leaving public office and will not oversee the outcome or the cost. They will no longer be held accountable for the blatant waste of taxpayers' dollars. For those reasons, I object to any further investigative action that is a duplicate, open-ended, or untethered from a present and defined governmental need. I also want the record to reflect that aligning a scope of work with the ordinance does not resolve this issue, or the issue of mootness, or cure the absence of a current governmental purpose. I have no further legal action. I hope that no further legal action is required. However, the city reserves all rights to seek appropriate judicial relief should public funds be expended on activity outside the authority granted by law. There are, in fact, checks and balances in our charter. My job is to manage and protect the business of taxpayers and the general public, and I assure you that I intend to uphold the duties sworn to me. With that, I'd like to read the memorandum into record. Issue presented. Whether the October 22nd, 2025 ordinance appointing an independent investigation to conduct an administrative investigation into certain financial transactions remains necessary or operative in light of, one, the Downtown Development Authority's completed interim investigative report, and number two, Hall Booth Smith's acknowledgement that its engagement exceeded the scope of the ordinance and its subsequent halt of the investigation. Summary conclusion. While the October 22nd ordinance is not factually moot as applied and unnecessary to accomplish its stated purpose, the factual inquiry that particular ordinance was intended to authorize has already been completed by the proper governing entity, and the city's retained investigator has halted further action after acknowledging the limits of the ordinance and in light of the mayor's notice of the intended temporary restraining order. Continued expenditure of public funds to pursue an overlapping or a duplicating investigation would not serve a legitimate governmental purpose and would expose the city to unnecessary legal and fiscal risk. Background: on October 22nd, 2025, the mayor and council adopted an ordinance appointing an independent investigator to Article 7 of the City Code. The ordinance authorizes an administrative investigation into all financial transactions occurring from, to, and between the City of Jonesboro and the Jonesboro Downtown Authority for fiscal year 2025, beginning January 1st and ending on October 20th, 2025. On December 3rd, 2025, the Downtown Development Authority released the interim investigative report addressing the propriety of certain 2025 financial transactions, including those related to the Juneteenth celebration. The report expenditures, approvals, sponsorships, reimbursements, applicable bylaws, and interviews of relevant individuals. Separately, Hall Booth Smith PC, the firm selected as an independent investigator under the ordinance, acknowledged in writing that the scope of its engagement letter exceeded the authority granted by the ordinance and halted its investigation pending further action by the council. Analysis. Number one, scope and purpose of the ordinance 22 of the October 22nd ordinance. The ordinance authorizes a very limited administrative investigation for a defined purpose: to gather facts regarding city and DDA financial transactions during a specific time period. It does not authorize an open-ended inquiry into city operations, general finances, or conduct outside city and DDA transactional activity. The ordinance is investigative in nature, its sole function is to obtain information. Number two, the DDA interim investigative report satisfies the ordinance's purposes. The DDA interim investigative report examined the same category of transactions and the same general time period addressed by the ordinance. The report analyzed whether the expenditures were authorized, whether DDA bylaws were followed, and how sponsorship funds were handled, and whether payments were properly approved or reimbursed. Importantly, the DDA is the governmental entity with statutory authority over its own finances and expenditures. As such, its investigation is not ancillary to the city's inquiry. It is primary. The factual record the ordinance sought to create now already exists. Number 3, duplication of investigative efforts is not a legitimate public purpose. Georgia law disfavors the use of public funds for duplicate governmental actions when the underlying objective has already been achieved. Once the relevant facts are known and documented, continuing an investigation serves no legitimate administrative function. Here, a second investigation would not uncover new categories of transactions or expand the city's authority. It would simply re-examine matters already reviewed by the entity with direct jurisdiction over the expenditures. Number 4, effect of Hall Booth Smith's halted investigation. Hall Booth Smith's acknowledgement that its engagement exceeded the ordinance scope and its decision to halt further investigative activity is significant. There is currently no active investigation underway pursuant to the ordinance. The firm has made it clear that it cannot proceed without either narrowing its work or the council amending the ordinance. Given the ordinance investigative purpose has already been fulfilled by the DDA report, there's no legal or practical justification for restarting or expanding the investigation. Number 5, mootness as applied. Although the ordinance remains valid on its face, is now moot as applied. Subsequent events, the completion of a comprehensive DDA investigation, and the halting of the city's investigator have eliminated any remaining controversy and investigative necessity. Proceeding further would not advance transparency or accountability and would unnecessarily expend public funds. Conclusion. The October 22nd, 2025 ordinance was enacted to authorize a fact-finding investigation. Let's be very clear, a fact-finding investigation. Those facts have now been gathered, documented, and reported by the Downtown Development Authority, the entity with primary authority over the transactions in question. The city's retained investigator has halted further action after acknowledging the ordinance's limits. Accordingly, while the ordinance remains on the books, it no longer serves its operative purpose. Any further investigation would be a duplicate and as well as fiscally imprudent and legally unnecessary. The mayor, myself, may reasonably conclude that the ordinance's objectives have been satisfied and that no further action is warranted. This memorandum was prepared by Esquire Attorney Jocelyn C. Jackson and submitted December 12, 2025, and I'll provide this for the record. At this time, we'll have public comment. Timothy Bondell Jefferson.
Good morning, Timothy Bondell Jefferson, a resident of Clayton County. Good morning, Madam Mayor Pro Tem, council members. I would like to speak on transition. Transition is very, very difficult, especially when people are set in their ways and there's been a orderly transfer of power within a certain city. In other words, the demographics have changed. And I got a phone call from a very prominent attorney in this community, and it was in reference to paying civil attorneys. Right now, Clayton County is about to pay 4 individuals $3.5 million that stem from 2018 in the Civil Service Board on illegal filing. This is taxpayers' money. So when you guys been in the newspaper since 2023. I watched it closely, and it seems to be the GBI has done their investigation. A lot of people have done their investigation, but we seem to be wasting taxpayers' money on civil attorneys. And civil attorneys love you guys. You all are elected to do the people's business. If there's any type of internal conflict, I would highly recommend that this can be discussed in executive session without embarrassing the city any further as we move forward, trying to move this county forward in the spirit of excellence, because remember, we are a Tier 1 county. I'm so deeply concerned, I reached out to Pastor Taylor, and I reached out to the Clayton County Ministers Association to see if we can have some type of prayer unity breakfast that we can get rid of these differences as the city transitions into moving forward in the spirit of excellence. So with all that in mind, remember when you hire these attorneys, they love you guys. They're gonna bill you for stupid minutes, they're gonna bill you for stupid hours. They're there to get money, they don't care what the bottom line is, they're there to get paid. So as you move forward, constantly think about the responsibility and fiduciary responsibilities you have with the taxpayers' money. With that said, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jefferson. At this time, we'll move into old business. Madam Clerk?
Yes. Old business, letter A, council to discuss and consider action on amending the letter of engagement.
So there is an ordinance 2025-008 authorizing an investigation with a limited scope. So is there consideration to expand that scope?
Mayor,
Mayor Pro Tem?
I believe what the council was intending to do was to have the investigation, the scope of the investigation on the letter of engagement narrowed to fit the ordinance. So what the ordinance states will be the investigator's area to investigate.
Has he submitted that revised letter of engagement?
He is waiting for us to make a decision to move forward with that, and then he'll submit it to the council.
Okay, so there's an ordinance that says that he's to investigate transactions between the City of Jonesboro and the Downtown Development Authority from January 1st, 2025 to October 15th, 2025. Is that correct?
I believe so, yes, Mayor.
Are we sure? Everybody in agreement to that?
Do we have a
If
copy
that's
of
what the
that?
ordinance states.
That's what the ordinance, okay, I'm almost positive that's what the ordinance says. Is Maria here? Maria is actually looking for, give me 1 second, you all have a lot of paperwork up here before we make these decisions. I think it's really important that we consider some things. So Hall Booth Smith is the investigator that the council agreed to engage. And at this time, so I want us to be clear. At this time, nothing has occurred toward the ordinance from Hall, Booth, and Smith. Hall, Booth, and Smith have. At this time, nothing has occurred. Can you put him on mute? Toward the ordinance. So I want to make sure we're very clear, and please object me if I'm wrong. Hall, Booth, and Smith. So there was an ordinance that was established. Oh, okay. There was an ordinance. Testing. Okay, so there was an ordinance that was signed in October telling the investigator to just look at transactions between the DDA and the City of Jonesboro from January 1st to October 15, 2025. We're all in agreement of that. At this time, he has not provided any work toward that ordinance. Would you all agree? We haven't been provided with anything, hence why we need to modify it. However, I have $20,000 in legal expenses from Hall, Booth, and Smith, of which none of these legal expenses will be attributed to a modified scope that he's going to provide. Beginning on October 23rd, I have the first bill, which is for $6,452. I also have a second bill for the amount of $14,000. The second bill is in the amount of $14,707. So we have almost $20,000 of outstanding civil attorney fees of work that is not, which was so far outside of the scope that we agreed upon. Now, I'll also add that earlier, if you all remember in a previous email, I asked council to disclose who had spoken to the attorney. The attorney has billed us, in one instance, let me find it, because this is what gets interesting to me. $3,412. That's 9 hours of work at $375. That's simply to prepare for and travel to and from Jonesboro for interviews with Mayor Pro Tem Tracy Messick and the Downtown Development Chair Santia Fox as initial formal interviews in the case. So no other council person has talked to this attorney except for Mayor Pro Tem and the chair of the DDA, Santia Fox. So his direction and a $20,000 bill is attributed to their interactions with him. And so therefore we have $20,000, and now council wants to engage him again after there's $20,000 worth of bills that have to be paid. And any further engagement would not be on the financial burden of the seated council here, but on a new council that would take their seats on January 5th. To that point, decisions that are made now for investigation, of which those facts have already been to a great extent investigated through a DDA interim report that also has to be paid. So I just want the facts to be very clear as you all re-engagement. I'm sorry, Ms. Maria, were you able to get those things? I've asked Maria to also, the transactions that they want the engagement letter to apply, I think we're looking at a total of about 12. Okay. So right now we have all of the, so let me count the number of transactions. So everything that's highlighted is the transactions? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There would be 8 transactions between the DDA and the city that would need to be investigated. Are y'all aware of those 8 transactions, council?
Mayor,
I'm asking council, are y'all aware of those transactions?
I know it was only 8. I know it was mentioned that it was only 8 last meeting. but I-
Okay. Would you all like the opportunity to look over those transactions to see if you all have any concerns or can't figure it out for yourself before we go to an investigator? Okay, so we can provide these for you so that you can take a look, or would y'all like me to go over them now? Y'all like me to go over them now?
Mayor,
Yes.
I'm sure the council would love a copy of what you have, but also the investigation is not just financials. It's about policy and procedure.
That's not what the-
Administrative, yes, it is.
Let me go
It's
read it. Who has a
investigating.
copy of the ordinance?
It does not say exclusively to financial documentation. That is not what is in this.
we're gonna
We
read
had this discussion at the last meeting.
Can you provide a
concerning-
copy of the ordinance, please?
Concerning an administrative investigation. Administrative investigation is not restricted to financials. As a matter of fact, at the last meeting, you made a very good point to point out that our attorneys as a whole are not CPAs. They gather information and then they report back. What we are proposing is for this investigation to move forward with a much more limited scope to find out the violations, if any, of policy and procedure between the DDA and between the city council. Concerning the ordinance, there's also, he has reached out to interview other people, including yourself, and you declined.
I declined because we had not assigned legal
He is-
representation.
He has, and you now have, I would love, since you have those numbers, I would love to know the numbers of Attorney Jocelyn Jackson.
Oh, we
that
can
you've
provide that too,
engaged
about
for-
$120,000.
That would be- I'm sorry?
About $120,000, of which the judge in Superior Court of Clayton County mandated that you all pay her.
So this is for this specific investigation?
Oh, I haven't
$120,000
received it.
Just for this
Oh,
investigation?
no,
is
that was
correct?
for the previous one.
Okay, so 180, I believe, was the previous
Correct.
stated amount for the previous investigation. So
Oh, I have
the
it.
numbers for this investigation, as you just stated, the ones for HBS, you were clear on that. I think sharing and transparency.
I don't have a bill
what your-
from her.
What your attorney has billed as well would be relevant to
The
this-
finance person is
to
here.
this. I
For the
also feel
record,
like
my
this
attorney has
investigation-
not
I'm sorry, Mayor,
billed
I
this
still-
year.
I still have the floor.
No,
I
no,
also
but I
feel-
haven't.
I also feel like narrowing the scope of this investigation is going to cut down considerably on any cost, but it's also going to give the community transparency into a report being presented on anything that was wrong and give us an opportunity to turn and be on a better path going into a new year.
Okay.
This is not it's not just financials, it's policy, procedure,
Okay.
administrative. So everybody's on solid grounding, so our businesses benefit, our residents
Okay.
benefit. This is what this is about.
So so let's read what this says. The investigator shall conduct an administrative investigation into all financial transactions occurring from, to, and between the city of Jonesboro, Georgia, and the city of Jonesboro's Downtown Development Authority for fiscal year 2025, beginning January 1st and ending October 20th, 2025. The investigator shall conduct the investigation pursuant to the requirements codified in Articles 5 and 7, Administrative Investigations. Now, let's go back and look at that article. That article that defines administrative investigation does not define additional scope. It defines the method of the investigation, and that's where your understanding is extremely flawed. An administrative investigation clearly defines how the investigation is occurring, but not the scope. So, contrary to what you said, there is nothing in this ordinance that says anything about policy and procedure. It clearly says all financial transactions, which is why, to your point last time I said, and I'll give the analogy over and over again, we just had a gas leak yesterday.
Mayor,
We just had a gas leak yesterday. We didn't call a roofer. We called the gas company. If we have questions about financial transactions, let's call upon a CPA. Because also I looked up this gentleman and he has none forensic nor financial expertise in this particular area. I don't see anything in this ordinance that talks about policy and procedure. But not to belabor a long meeting, at this point, I will entertain a motion. I will entertain any motion, Mayor Pro Tem, that you may have regarding ordinance 2025-008.
Mayor, I would like to make a motion that the council consider narrowing the scope of the investigation with Hal B. Smith to align with the ordinance 2025-008 that authorized the investigation. Need a second?
All right, council, any discussion? Yes.
There are a few things that I would like to say about this matter. I think it's worth noting, because we tend to kind of gloss by the amount of money that was already spent. We tend to gloss by the amount that things cost when we have to, when it's a personal, or when it's something that we want to get done, but not for the city, not for the residents, not, for the children of Jonesboro. Then it's okay to spend however much money, but when you city government needs $4,000, it's a problem. When we talk about initiative funds, we want to cut them. When we talk about education, we want to cut them. $20,000 has been spent. If any employee, city employee or director wasted $20,000 when we clearly gave them, black and white, an ordinance to follow, and they wasted that $20,000, they cost the city $20,000, we would be talking about letting them go. So at the very least, I think it's, if you want to continue this investigation, which I no longer agree with because I was present in the DDA meeting where I received a 256-page document that talked about the things that were done improperly, and we will talk about that if I'll get there. We should look at hiring someone else because he already cost us $20,000 by doing the wrong thing. This is a professional. This is an attorney. He should have done what he needed to do to ensure that he was within what we asked him to, and he did not. And it's $20,000 worth that we still have to pay him, even though he knows that he was not within the scope. Even though he himself halted it because he's realized this is not what I'm supposed to be doing, we still have to pay a $20,000 bill. So to say, yeah, oh, well, it was an accident or it was a mistake or whatever, we still have to pay it, but let's continue giving him money is absurd to me. As far as the DDA investigation, which I know we haven't talked about and things of that nature, it was a 256-page document. We're talking about policy and procedures, although that was not an ordinance. That document discussed the policies and procedures that needed to be improved from the city to the DDA. He gave recommendations. The DDA decided to engage him in fixing the bylaws and correcting some of these policy and procedures, or giving those recommendations, which they're gonna vote on to see if they wanna accept. But he addressed the policy and procedure issues. He addressed how to fix them. They're updating their bylaws to ensure that those things are fixed. The biggest amount of money that was spent between the DDA and the city of Jonesboro was for Juneteenth. That is what he investigated, all of those transactions. It was clearly proven that there was no harm fiscally done to the DDA. What procedures and policies needed to be fixed? Yes, but we know that. So what is Hall, Booth, and Smith gonna tell us the same thing that the DDA attorney told us? At some point, it's okay to lick our wounds and say, hey, we don't have to continue with this. We have a document, a very large document, that shows what happened from an attorney, a trusted attorney from different municipalities. And we're just gonna ignore it? It was emailed to all of us. I have a physical copy, but we have the email as well. We're just gonna ignore it? He told us what was wrong. He told us what the issue was with the DDA. It's divisiveness, and it's frustrating. The city of Jonesboro, mayor included, council included, we don't want to harm the DDA. They are a byproduct of us. So we need to work together instead of wasting money that could be used for the city. You know what I could do with $20,000 for the toy drive for the community and city of Jonesboro? So this is, at some point, guys, we need to go back and decide that we can't do this. A contingency fund of $40,000 is scary. It's scary. And that's what we have as a city. And we're willing to blow it on something that we already have documentation saying this is what went wrong, this is what needs to be fixed. An attorney is presently working on correcting those things, and we're still saying, let's give somebody else $20,000 plus to do it again. And we have a forensic audit in the works. Like, we have so many things looking at our financials, guys. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. We don't have to keep wasting money.
And also, I thank you for reminding that we also have probably a $100,000 bill for our forensic audit that is well on its way, plus our regular audit as well. Council, it would be really easy for me to just say, do what you all need to do, and on January 5th, we're gonna overturn it anyway. Because that's what I said it would be real easy for me to say, go ahead and do what you wanna do, and then January 5th, the new council will probably overturn your actions as well. Because you're talking about between now and January 5th. And if I got to call a special call meeting on January 2nd to overturn it, I think I'll do that as well. And we can swear in our new officers. We can push this as quick as possible. I refuse to stand here and allow you all to continue to spend money under my watch that then I have to turn around and manipulate a budget that physically impacts our citizens and, more importantly, our employees. So that's $20,000, and you all have not even began. Here's the thing that makes me think that you're not financially responsible or smart. You're getting ready to engage someone, but you haven't even looked at where the finances would come for that engagement. You don't buy a house or a car unless you know you got the money there to cover it. But I don't think three of you all won't care, because you won't be here for us to dig out this financial hole that you're putting us in. And so that in and of itself is not ethical or fair to the people that will sit in your seats that you've occupied for 4 years. So I would ask at this point, what is the discussion? Because I do know that a current council cannot encumber any financial bills in an upcoming term if you're leaving office. So at this time, have you all considered how we will financially pay Hall, Booth, and Smith in regard to this motion? And also, I would like clarity to the motion. The motion is simply to implement the ordinance, to create a scope that has to be reviewed by the legal team to make sure that his engagement letter aligns with the current ordinance that's provided. At this time, before we vote, Mayor Pro Tem, can you tell us, or do you all intend to do a motion on how much we can spend and where that money plan to come from? And I bought copies of the 2026 budget that we can start to, because one bill, let me just say this, one bill is one police officer. We already spent $20,000. He already said in writing that it's going to cost anyway. The attorney said the scope of this will be an additional $50,000 to $100,000. And as Mr. Vondell said, if they say $100,000, you can bet it's going to be $98,990. So that's $100,000. That's one police officer. But you all are willing to spend it on 9 transactions that we can just come together and ask and talk about.
Mayor,
Can anyone address how we're going to financially, are we putting a cap on them? Yes, go ahead. And let me just for the record,
Ma'am.
y'all know whatever y'all vote on, in January, we can just overturn it. But go ahead.
okay, so the scope of the investigation, the estimated cost was based on the original letter of engagement. So I feel sure that that cost will come down considerably once the scope of the investigation is narrowed. Okay?
Wouldn't it be responsible
Also,
wait, to that point, hold on a second. Wouldn't it be more responsible to let's hear from him how much the narrowed scope would cost before we make a decision?
Would you
I mean,
would you like to have 2 more call meetings before the end of the year?
Or no, we just like to wait until January and tell me this, why is it so important for y'all to do this right now?
To finish this up.
But it's not gonna, he's not gonna,
This could be a very limited,
He won't be able to finish it this year.
Mayor, if you had allowed this to hit the floor at our last meeting.
No.
And not shut that vote down then, we wouldn't
how
be
did
here today.
I shut the vote
You shut
down?
the vote down because it wasn't an item that should have been placed on the agenda for discussion.
No, you did not turn it
And
in,
then
Mayor Pro Tem.
when I
Don't
made
get
the
mad that
motion
poor
to
planning on your part
narrow-
does not necessitate
I made a
emergency on
motion to
mine.
narrow
I'm following the
scope.
rules. You just
when I
mad
made
about
the
it.
motion to narrow the scope, you said you weren't going to allow the vote.
Correct, because, no, I couldn't.
Done that.
No.
Yes, ma'am, that was in your power.
Let me ask you this.
Your
At the
choice.
last minute meeting, let's be clear, at the last meeting, did you have the cost of the scope of engagement based on the new one?
I have.
No, yes or no?
I
Did
was-
you know how much it would
You're
cost?
not my attorney, Mayor, yes or no questions.
You did not have that. So no, I did, so let me, for the record, I did not allow a vote to move forward if we didn't have a cost of how much it was gonna cost. That's ridiculous. We didn't have the money. You don't have it now, so you didn't have it then. I'm not going to continue to argue. There's a motion on the floor. It's been appropriate second. I'm going to call the question at this particular point. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? How did Bobby vote?
I'm sorry.
How did Bobby vote?
Bobby, how'd you vote? Mr. Lester, my apologies.
Oh, so it's a tie. All right, next on the agenda. So the
Funding
motion
and-
fails. Okay.
Funding and hiring of third-party legal representation. Approval of seeking, selecting, and funding a third-party attorney to represent the 6 seated council members during the investigation authorized by ordinance 2025-008.
Mayor,
Mayor Pro Tem? Mhm.
moving forward on the funding and hiring of a third-party legal representation, understanding that you've already employed your personal attorney.
I have
to
not employed
assist.
my personal attorney. There's no
Ms.
letter of engagement.
Ms. Jackson
I have not-
has-
for the record, I
her
have not
statement was read
employed.
into the beginning, at the beginning.
Just
of the
because somebody
meeting.
read into
She
a
did-
memorandum does not
she-
mean that they were employed. But go
and
ahead.
she's already, you just stated that you don't know the cost that she will be billing
Correct.
at this point.
Can you turn them on?
He was trying to get Mr. Lester back on the phone. Mayor, can we take an adjournment to get Mr. Lester back due to?
Yeah, okay, because he's listening to something else. I'll entertain a motion for funding and hiring of a third-party legal representation to represent the 6 seated council members. Is that the current 6 seated council members or the ones that's coming in?
The current seated, but this will need to be revisited in January when we do have new council, so that they would be included as well.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to fund it. What is the, can you give us a funding amount?
No, Mayor, this is just for approval for funding. There's no attorney, we have no engagement letter. This is to bring forth to the council that it's already been brought up that this could get litigious. So
Okay.
this is a safeguard, as the council does not have legal representation.
Perfect.
You do, and the
Correct.
city attorney is not present.
Okay.
And chooses not to participate.
Okay, well, no, he didn't choose to participate, just for the record. The attorney had a court case today. Most attorneys have court cases. We were notified on Sunday evening originally it was supposed to be on Monday. I'm glad it wasn't on yesterday because we couldn't get in the meeting anyway, so that was perfect. But, so our attorney did not refuse to come. He had a court case that he could not move for another client, which is totally understandable with less than 48 hours. So I guess the motion would be better not funding because surely we don't want to vote on funding and we don't have an amount, but you all want to move forward with the hiring of a third-party legal representation? Because if we do the funding, you got to give us an amount.
Yeah, we can have a meeting next week for funding if needed. If that's the direction you would like to go, that's fine.
Well, I mean, y'all can fund it now. Y'all want to fund it up to a certain amount and then we don't have to meet?
I would make a motion that the council approve hiring and funding of a third-party attorney to match the amount of funding that you spend on your attorney. I think that would be fair.
Okay. So that means that we're approving all funding?
That means whatever your attorney, if your attorney spends 20,000, then our attorney, we can fund up to that amount.
Okay, okay, that's perfect
So
then.
I think a balanced fund.
Okay,
so
so
that
I
we-
think the better motion, I'll entertain a motion for funding and hiring all third-party legal representation as it relates to ordinance 2025-08. That's a
This
good one.
is funding and hiring of third-party legal representation for seated council.
And mayor.
Mayor, you already have yours.
No, we didn't vote on it, so let's vote,
But you-
let's
you-
include it.
This, what you already have, you're
I
correct. You
keep
already
a
have one that
attorney.
was never voted on.
Okay, hold
I'm
on,
glad you brought that
let
up.
me clarify again. I am entitled as a mayor to have legal counsel for everything. Hold on a second, let's stop. The
You
question, wait a
report to
minute,
city
let,
council, not to personal
let me,
counsel.
let me finish. And that's where you're ignorant. Every elected official is advised to have legal representation. So don't get mad that I have some. And the question is, so that the record would state, I have not asked for any pay or compensation for my legal representation since the last legal interaction 2.5 years ago. So you cannot get upset and throw in my face that I have legal counsel, and I will always be represented, sitting up here with y'all, thinking that y'all gonna sit up here and sue me
Hey,
for
Mayor,
all my,
I'm
so
just asking
no,
that the
listen,
council
so
has
for the
the same
record.
benefits that you do.
So for the
And
record,
legally
Ms.
represented, she
Chandrella,
said that all
Mayor Pro Tem, you have not been
elected
acknowledged.
officials
Mayor Pro
should
Tem, you have not been
have legal
acknowledged.
representation.
Let the record show for clarification that my legal attorney has not sought any compensation for any legal advice that she has provided. Now, I will entertain a motion for funding and hiring of third-party attorney representation to represent the 6 seated council members and mayor for the investigation authorized by 2025-008, and no legal attorney can exceed the other. I'll entertain a motion. No motion for that?
I'm waiting to hear from some of the other council input. Oh, we need to do a motion, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's
We
what
do
I
need to do
entertain a motion.
And then discussion. Yeah, I'm making that motion.
All right, so there's a motion on the floor to fund and hire third-party legal representation for the 6 seated council member and mayor related to anything, any investigation authorized by the ordinance 2025-008. No attorney can exceed what the other attorneys say, so they all got the same finish line. Discussion.
So, go ahead.
I just need a little clarity. We had a motion previously to narrow the scope of the engagement for Harbaugh Smith. Harbaugh Smith halted his investigation until he received a narrow scope. If we don't give him a narrow scope, then what investigation is happening with the ordinance? So why do we need attorneys if the attorney that we engaged is unwilling to work or do any further work until he gets something and that motion failed? Run it again.
Well, I can answer that. If you look up on the new business, there's also going to be a discussion of subpoena powers for the investigator. And it's just good practice that if any council members, mayor, or staff are interviewed in an investigation, that they have legal counsel present.
Who's investigating?
Well, I mean, she already,
He halted it because he needs a scope, and we're
I
not
know,
giving
but
him
the
one.
last
So
motion, she did just give them the scope.
I thought it failed.
Oh, it failed. Oh, that's
So it's
right.
hot- That's what I'm saying, so what are
Oh,
we,
I forgot it failed.
what's being investigated? Why do we need a turn, like, see,
All right, that's right. So item B is irrelevant. Let's go on to new business. Item
Mayor,
A
there
is,
was a motion on the floor and a second.
but it wasn't related to something that can be carried,
There's
because we
already,
don't.
there's a
But
motion
let's
on the
just
floor
approve
and a
this motion,
second.
because we don't have nothing for them to do, so let's just approve it. All in favor? All in favor?
Aye,
What Bobby say?
again, an attorney.
and Alfred was a yay.
You said yay?
For an attorney?
But- All right, all opposed? Okay, great, we have an attorney. Item A can be struck from the agenda because since there is no investigation, there's no need for
Mayor,
appointment.
I would like to call the vote on item A, because I thought we had the votes to move forward with item A.
Which is my item A under new business?
Item A under old business. I
We
believe
already
I
voted
believe
and it
we
tied.
have-
Yeah, we had a vote. It was 3-3.
Can you call the vote, please? Individual votes, can you
Okay,
call the vote?
but Councilman Lester can't participate because he
Correct.
wasn't available.
He was
Okay.
unfortunately,
All right, all in
Yes.
favor, raise your hand if you were, she wants to call the vote. Councilman Dixon, how did you vote for narrowing the scope of the investigation for Hall Booth Smith? For or against?
I voted against that.
Councilman Miller? Mayor Starter against?
or,
Four.
3,
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear
Three.
the end of.
3 and 3. Tie.
Okay, thank you.
Vote does not carry. All right, at this time, item B.
Mr. Lester said he voted. I just heard him say he voted.
Got cut off because of the feedback between the
He wasn't cut off at that time. All right, under new business, I think we'll be item B.
Item B, under new business, review and appointment of Downtown Development Authority Board members. Mayor, on this one, I just wanted to share that we do have this item on our January agenda.
Okay.
Annually, we do the appointments.
Do we have?
Mayor.
Do we have, hold on one second. Do you have those, do we have any additional applicants?
Yes, ma'am. We received two, and then I just received another one sitting here at 10:39.
Okay, perfect. Yes.
Yes. So concerning the appointment of the Downtown Development Authority Board, if Ms. Fox is present, I would like her to come forward and present her applicants for that to us so that we can move forward with those review and appointments.
We have additional applicants. The applications is open until December 31st. That was an administrative decision that I made. We received 3 additional ones today, so we will hear those at the January council meeting.
Ms. Fox sent the council some applicants that she asked that we hear so that they would be available for their meeting this week. And so I make a motion that we hear from Ms. Fox concerning that.
Okay, I am at this particular time, applicants are still open to January 31st, and we have 3 additional applicants to be considered. Do you have those, who has those 3?
We are still waiting on one, Mayor, because her understanding was it was December 31st.
Okay, perfect. Are these like in packets for me to pass out?
May it please be advised, Ms. Segner's application was received at 10:39 a.m. It is not included in the packet.
So,
The application for Ms. Julie Segner was received at 10:39 while sitting here, so it is not presently in the packet that you're holding. But we do have her as well.
Thank you.
I also had an applicant in the folder for Mr. Simpson for Patricia Green Sebo Fox. Is that still an applicant, Ms. Sebo-Han? Are you still interested in the DDA?
I'm considering it, yes, but, I don't know where the Fox came in on that.
Well, no, we were keeping a folder of all applicants, and so your folder, yours was in it. So would you like consideration?
Well, I am still considering yes.
Okay, so you have until December 31st for consideration. Okay, thank you. So I'll hold on to this for you. Okay, perfect. So we have
Mayor,
1, 2, hold on a second, let me just, 1, 2, 3. Where are the additional new ones?
I have Ms. Segner's in email form.
Okay,
You have Ms. Zebo's. We're still waiting
These-
on
I'm
Ms.
sorry, these are
Henry Scott Dowdell.
okay, did you have
She
one?
assured it would be here before the 31st.
Do you want to, so we have additional applicants out.
Yolanda Turner.
Oh, Yolande Turner's in this packet? All right.
Mayor,
Yes.
I made a motion to hear from Ms. Fox.
Okay, I'm not going to acknowledge her at this time.
I'm sorry, you have to recognize my motion?
I recognize you, so that is not a motion. You don't make a motion to acknowledge somebody.
Well,
That's not a motion.
yes.
You don't make a motion to acknowledge somebody. All right.
Mayor, my concern keeps falling with you suppressing information from this council.
What information I have I
Just for
suppressed?
us to be able to govern and do our jobs. If she has information that she can bring forward to us concerning people she would like appointed to the DDA, I don't see why that is, and it's on the agenda.
Okay, I'll tell you why it's a problem, because there's
Please tell me why
additional.
that is a
I will.
problem.
There are additional applicants, and it's only fair that all applicants are considered with the same weight and judgment. So for her to come present 3 publicly and the other ones not have the opportunity, it's just not fair. The deadline is December 31st. So when the deadline is closed, all applicants will be gathered and we will go through a review and a vetting process. I mean, that is only fair. So to come bring forth applicants of her choice is not fair when we have other applicants. Now, I don't disagree, for the record, that the applicants that she's bringing forth are great applicants and it's gonna be a tough job trying to pick these, but the applications close on December 31st. And at that time, as clerk has already indicated, appointments will be made at the first of the year. I'm not understanding. I mean, is that not fair?
Especially since we just got one. I don't know what's going on with them.
And then we have Ms. Seckners and she served on a DDA before, so that's a great asset. And then Tamara Scott as well. So that would be a grand total of about 6 applications. 7, yeah. And Ms. Sebohan, okay. So we will continue to receive those, and on the 31st, we'll compile those and provide those for all council members to review. Just in fairness, because I don't want a board member to say 3 people were suggested and their application was, it's just, want to be fair. All right, next on the agenda.
Item C, funding and hiring of third-party legal representation, discussion and approval of funds for an interim part-time executive director for the Downtown Development Authority as presented by Chairwoman Cynthia Fox.
Ms. Fox, would you like to come forward with your presentation?
Good morning, Council. My name is Cynthia Fox.
Okay, so I'm sorry, to be appropriately acknowledged by virtue of our charter, you're to say mayor and council.
Mayor and Council.
Yes, you
Good
can go
morning.
ahead.
My name is Cynthia Fox. I am the chair for the Downtown Development Authority. I am requesting $9,000 to be allocated to a DDA consultant. We have received a contract that the board members are excited about. We will be voting. I've already sent out the contract over to the other board members, and we're asking for 50% to help fund that for 6 months while the council get in an executive director to help facilitate that process. In the meantime, because we have day-to-day businesses for the DDA that needs to be addressed, and we are in the process of restructuring, and that person will come in specifically to help us to carry out those mandates, not to necessarily serve as an executive director, but more so as a DDA consultant to help us. He has a special skill set to help us to restructure and carry out the day-to-day activities as well.
So this is incorrect on the agenda that was provided, the agenda item provided for Mayor Pro Tem, because here it says interim part-time executive director, so it's not an interim executive director.
We do not, we don't have anyone right now. We have been doing everything on our own. What I'm asking for is support for us to be able to hire someone, a consultant to come in. That's all we're asking.
Would that consultant, I'm just saying per the item, will it serve as a interim executive director or have any responsibilities as it relates to an interim executive director?
Some of those, it may pass, because if he's going to be preparing agendas or speaking with the vice chair or helping with training some of those functions are executive director. We are taking the recommendations that the attorney gave us because processes and procedures were violated. He made some recommendations according to the new bylaws. We have board members that needs to be trained, especially when they get appointed within 2 months, they need to be trained. He will help facilitate those processes.
Okay, so as long as we are clear that he has no executive director responsibilities, so we will be clear on that.
The chair and the new vice chair will be able to help facilitate that process.
Okay, so as long as we're clear that there will be no executive director, and so I've looked at some of his scope and I think Exhibit A, and some of those were executive director positions, so as long as he knows that those items will be excluded from his duties and
We
responsibilities.
don't have an executed contract yet, so those scopes can be looked at, and we will discuss it in the appropriate authority in the DDA tomorrow meeting.
Okay, so just as long as we are clear that if any of those within that scope relates to executive director duties, he will not be able to fulfill it. All right, I'll entertain a motion for approval. Where would those funds come out of this fiscal year? When would you need to make first payment?
By tomorrow, probably. When we go in engagement, when we make an engagement with them.
Okay, so can the DDA make that payment tomorrow and then we come up on the back end? Because we can't, I mean, I got to go look at the budget to see where we're going to get $9,000
As long
from.
as we can get it in writing that we will be reimbursed, that's absolutely fine.
And so that reimbursement will have to come from 2026. And once again, it can all be negated in January. Yeah, I have no idea. We got to find out where it is. But I mean, again, that's another decision that can be negated on January 1st. So, yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I had a question. The 9,000 for the DDA, is that the 50% you need? So is the total 18? Or
Yeah,
do you
that's the
need half of
50%.
9?
So his monthly fee is $3,000. The board negotiated not to go over $3,000, and I was able to negotiate a fee of $3,000. So council will be agreeing to pay for half of that. So it would be $9,000 in total on your end, $9,000 from us. So we would match that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Do we know who this person is?
Yes, Mr. Xavier Ross.
Okay. So, can we see his contract before we vote, council, before? I don't have a problem giving him the money, but I think we should see the contract. Y'all don't want to see the contract? I just want.
Well, what I'm asking for is money to go towards that, whether or not it's Xavier Ross or someone else. Then the DDA, as board members and I will make a decision. We're just asking for the funds. So I don't know if hiring a person matters to the council in a sense, but it's more so, what we're asking for is not approval of the person. We're asking for the funds to be able to pay for that.
And I think if we're paying for the funds, we want to know the person that we're funding. I mean, that's just reasonable. So, I mean, I don't have a problem with the funding, but I want to see who we're funding. So again, I feel like when the new council comes in and can encumber those funds. But I mean, you all can vote on it, but again, we got like 6 days before
Mayor,
9, 12. Let me see, take away the holidays, plus the weekends.
Mayor,
Mayor Pro Tem?
I have a question.
Mhm.
So moving forward, you just need the council to approve the funding. So you have some applicants in mind, or you only have one?
Well,
And
we have-
Is that not something that the DDA, Mayor, and Mayor, you can help me with this since our city attorney?
I can help you with something?
I'm sorry?
Go ahead.
What is, the DDA chooses their own consultants, correct?
That's correct. Yeah, the DDA chooses consultant.
Okay.
Again, I don't have a problem with that. So we had an applicant that Cynthia and Madam Chair and I sat and met with that, it was a really good contract, and he would come in and serve as an economic developer as well as the downtown development executive. Great expertise, highly recommended. But however, he was contacted by Ms. Fox to only work for the DDA after he had already submitted a contract to both of us to engage for the city and the economic development. So when I spoke with him this weekend, he was a little confused. He was like, well, Mayor, I had sent the contract. I sent it to Madam Chair. She gave some feedback, and I really thought January 1st we were moving forward with this gentleman's contract that on January 1st would serve the DDA and would also serve the economic developer and would be funded by the city. But somehow in that negotiation that I was very transparent, copied Madam Chair on all the emails, she decided to reach out him separately and ask him to engage with the DDA only, and so he provided her a DDA only contract. When I was made aware of that, I called him back and said, hey, I thought we were entertained. And he says, you know, Mayor, after talking to you, and I do have his email I can find where he says that I do not want to engage for the DDA alone. However, I will entertain the Downtown Development Authority and Executive Director position effective January 1st. So my goal was to bring his contract before us in January, but Madam Chair decided to engage him separately on the DDA, and I figured this was something that we would, perfect example of us working together.
Mayor,
And I can
may
read
speak,
you.
Please, may
No,
I speak to,
Just 1 second, Frank, let me read the email.
read the entire email, please.
Oh, I will.
I have also forwarded you guys
I have-
that email.
So on 11/19, it started with, hi, Brian and Santia, connecting the two of us via email. Santia is our current DDA chair, and Brian is a DDA consultant that comes highly recommended. I've given him a very high level overview of the DDA as it currently operates. Maybe we can schedule a meeting. The three of us scheduled a meeting. Last Wednesday, he said, Madam Mayor, I have attached a draft agreement with the scope of work for proposed economic development and DDA services. The scope addresses the 3 focus areas we discussed in your office where Ms. Santia was present. Please review and let me know how to proceed. I responded and said, looks pretty good. I forwarded it immediately to Santia Fox, said, looks pretty good to me. I have a few questions for him. Also, I think I'll be able to give him executive assistant support from our staff. She said, good evening, Mayor. Thank you so much. I apologize for the delay. The contract clearly outlines exactly what the DDA and the city need at this time. So it's a great contract. I noticed the listed start date is January 1st. Are you looking to execute the contract prior to that? I also see that you're preparing to post a job description. I said, good morning. The date on the contract will be adjusted based on the contract is approved. I cannot get a contract that significant approved with the current council. It has to be approved in January. I've recommended that the city pay for the contract for the first 12 months. Our city attorney would have to review the contract. I spoke with him briefly last night regarding the executive assistant. I believe the city can allocate staff to assist him. And then we go on and on and on and on. And then this weekend, I find out that the DDA has wanted to engage him separately. And again, trying to work with the DDA, as you said, as a partnership, we just can't bring him in until January 1st. And I'm not sure what business of the DDA is so pertinent that the existing structures cannot carry it
That's not the entire
until January 5th. Then I also received information from him last night that clearly outlines that Madam Chair contacted him and asked him to move separately. Let me find those emails. It says, good afternoon, Brian. This is the 13th. As discussed, I'm requesting that you provide a proposed consultant or contract for consideration by the Downtown Development Authority, with you as serving as a consultant to the DDA and carrying out the core responsibilities outlined below with a start date of December 29th. 29, 30, 31, 1, 2, 3, 6 days that we could have had a consultant that served both entities. The DDA meets on the first Tuesday of each month. It does have on here as well executive director and functions, of which the DDA cannot appoint an executive director. That only comes by virtue of my office. And it goes on and on and on. After speaking to Brian on yesterday, he comes back and basically sends a really nice email saying that he would rather wait and engage with the city in the original contract that he provided to both Madam Clerk and I. So again, another moot point. You want to bring him in on December 29th. We're going to possibly bring him in the full capacity on January 5th. Like, I don't understand the difference.
Mayor, I contacted you and stated that, hey, could we go ahead and bring Mr. Hooker in now because we had day-to-day functions. I have an email from you that I've also forwarded to the board stating that you completely agreed. You say, great, I'm in agreement with that. If you all bring him in as a consultant, we can approach him as an executive director and work together. I'm asking council, did you all receive that email from me? That's exactly what the mayor stated.
Okay, so you want to bring him at, wait a minute, wait a
I'm
second, wait a
speaking. May I
second.
finish?
No, you
In
can't. So let's be
collaboration-
clear. You want to bring him in December 29th.
Mayor, I
That
spoke
makes
with-
no sense. You just said by virtue December 29th.
I spoke with you and you were in agreement.
I was in agreement, but then when I spoke to him and realized you went behind my back to engage him separately when he wants to move forward with a combined agreement, and what sense does it make to bring somebody in on December
How did I go
29th?
behind your back when we spoke and I have a written email stating that you were in agreement with what I was doing?
No,
And right after
no,
we
ma'am.
spoke, I sent him
No,
that
ma'am.
email. I
No,
followed
ma'am.
proper protocol.
When I spoke to him, he did not even know that you and I had not spoken about that. Why would we enter in a consultant agreement
I
on
have
December
everything in
29th?
writing.
That's
I have
fine.
everything in writing.
Mayor, if the city is able to buy, hold on one second. So Mr. Hooker comes back yesterday and says, look, I want to work with the city, I want to work with the DDA, but I only want to work in capacity of the full contract that was initially provided. I do not want to come in as a separate consultant for the DDA. But again, I'll entertain a motion.
I have been very transparent. I have forwarded you all the email.
Mayor, you have not been
I'm just asking that
recognized, though.
just
You have
read it.
not been recognized to speak, though. Yes.
I have a question. So we have someone who will come and work with the DDA and will also come and fill an empty position that we have here at the city. In the midst of this, I got lost in what the issue was. All that sounds like positive, so what's the,
The issue is I want to present his contract at the beginning of a new fiscal year, January 5th.
and you want him to come on?
We wanted him to start as soon as possible, and as I spoke with the mayor, when he came on, she said, well, when will we bring him in as an executive director? I said, when the city is ready. This would be a collaborative effort.
So if he's willing to come on January 1st,
January, after the second.
What she told me was the contract had to be reviewed. When we spoke, she said that it was going to be a process. She said that it had to be reviewed by a city attorney. It had to be brought before the board, so it wouldn't be until the second or possibly the following quarter. She
No,
made
no,
it
no,
very
no.
clear that she wasn't sure if it was going to be this quarter. I said, well, we can go ahead and bring them in now. That's how that happened.
Okay,
I said,
hold on,
well, we
hold on
can
one
go ahead
second,
and bring
hold on
them in
one second.
now because we couldn't afford to wait another quarter to bring them in because we needed people that needed to be trained, and especially with me getting ready to leave on and come to council, I needed to make sure that the DDA had everything that they needed to function, which Mr. Hooker would have been a great asset to both the DDA as well as the city.
Okay, so here's a good agreement. Pursuant to what you said, that he starts on December 29th, maybe the DEA can pay him a prorated amount from December 29th until January 13th when we engage him.
We don't have a problem with that
Okay,
at
and then
all.
you all can cover that cost.
We don't have a problem with that.
Oh, perfect.
We don't have a problem.
So you all in your DDA, with us in our DDA meeting on Thursday, you all, and you don't need our approval for that. That's for you all to handle, for us to handle on the DDA.
Ms. Mayor, you probably have already soured the relationship.
No, I
don't even
haven't.
know if
Oh,
he
my
wants to
gosh.
even work
Okay,
with
so-
DDA.
Oh, no, he's excited about coming. He is exciting.
so let's just, you only wanted us to pay half of it. You wanted to engage him for 6 months. So if you engage him in the beginning, if it goes beyond, let whoever the new chair is gonna be, we can have this on, it's on the record. If it goes beyond the 3 months that you all are able to pay, maybe that second month, you come back to council and ask for the money if he's not already signed as a contract employee for both of us. Does that make sense? So y'all can have him now, and in January, if by, let's give, if it doesn't pass by January and February comes around, we had the first meeting and you're like, it looks like we're still not gonna do it. This is the second month that DDA is gonna pay. We only have one more month of finances left. We bring it up in February and we'll give you the $9,000, or we'll vote on the $9,000 if his contract falls through and he's not appointed by January.
Thank you, Councilwoman Asia. The concern is that he already sent an email to withdraw his contract
No.
based on the conversation that he has had with the
No,
mayor.
clear, to withdraw his DDA contract. Read that email. That email says, I will wait
That's
for the
exactly-
contract with the city and the
That's
DDA.
exactly what
Now,
I'm
hold on
talking
one
about.
second, let me
So no
read
matter- No
that.
matter who it is, even if you
Well,
want Mr.
right,
Ross.
right now, what I'm asking for is the finances to pay for a consultant and allow the DDA to choose who that consultant will be.
Well, then the DDA should pay for it with their money, if y'all are choosing it. I know, this is hard, I know. I know. It doesn't have to be this hard. We are going to work very hard to engage this gentleman. You can read the email. He said, I withdraw my application to work solely with the DDA. I would rather work on the initial contract that he gave both you and I that you, I, and him sat in the office and talked about what would be the needs of the DA and the needs of the city. He came across and was good. What I'm not going to do is present a contract with this current council that will encumber the expenses on an incoming council, which is why I said, let's wait until January. But having spoke with him yesterday, he was like, Mayor, I don't want to come in and, like, she's asking me this, and then we collectively, and so that's why I think the problem came
I did not
in.
do anything on my own.
Hold
I
on,
consulted
let-
you first, and you were in
Mayor-
agreement, and I have an email stating
I
that.
was in agreement. But then when you contacted him and said something totally different, and he contacted me, that's how it started. Mayor, I thought we were all on the same page. I said, well, gee, I kind of thought we were too. And so as a result, on his own, because y'all seem to think I can strong arm these people, I can't, he comes back and says, I no longer want to engage in just the DDA only. However, so now I think a reasonable solution is go engage him separately from December 29th until, let's just say hypothetically, the end of January, which gives us enough time, because you are correct. I cannot approve a $45,000 contract by myself. It has to be approved by the legal attorney, and then I would want counsel to look over it all. But you just want the money from us, though.
Mayor, Mayor Council, what I'm asking for is you all give us the approval of the 9,000 and allow the DDA authority to figure out who they want to move forward with a consultant.
Okay, y'all can agree, and then we'll just take it right back in January, but go
Mayor.
ahead. Yes, Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay, listening to this, my concern is the DDA they need someone to give them advice up until we can move forward with
Correct.
an economic development director. The ED would be presented to us by the mayor for approval in January, but none of us seated or elected are waiting to be sworn in or aware of who this person would be. So we're dealing with anomalies here as far as this person's ability to come in as an economic development director versus the need for the DDA to have someone that can advise them to keep them on track until we do get an ED. So what would, I'm asking, what would be the best solution? She definitely the DDA needs funding for an advisor.
Yes.
Until the newly seated council.
Correct.
Because at that time, yes, so.
So
what
here's
would
the
be
question
best-
is, the
let's
DDA
do
doesn't
what's
need
be the
funding,
best
they have funding,
direction.
so let them fund. There's nothing that require us to fund them. If we have a remedy to fund eventually. They have, I mean, if he's only gonna work, if he's doing $3,000 and he's only gonna work 2 to 3 weeks, then the most that the DDA will spend would be $3,000, which is less than the half that they were gonna have to put up anyway. When it begins to exceed the $9,000, I feel like it's only fair then that the city steps in and pays it. Let them pay the first $9,000, let them invest in their own, and then once it hits 9,001, then the city begins to supplement. Like, that seems reasonable. Most DDAs finance themselves. But I have a solution that hopefully we can finance it all. But if you need help right now, and I agree that you do, then begin to pay them. And once you reach $9,000, if we haven't provided a remedy for you, then we'll begin to supplement. But again, the current council that's not sitting here can't obligate something and then it turned around and be reversed in January. We want you all to move. So you have a meeting on tomorrow. Go ahead and select who you all want to select as a consultant, pay them, and then once you get to the point where you can no longer afford them, then come back to us.
If I may, Mayor.
Yes.
I do think that just because we've had a lot of issues with finances, that whatever we decide that we get into some sort of intergovernmental agreement on paper, this is what we're gonna pay, this is how much we're gonna pay it. Now, I will say, I was at the DDA, the only meeting that I went to, I was at the DDA meeting and it spoke about how much was in the account. I won't say it publicly because I don't know if I can or I can't, but it was enough to pay the entire $18,000. But again, we are, you are a byproduct of the city of Jonesboro, so I don't see a problem with that. But yeah, if we could do an intergovernmental agreement to just say, y'all pay for the first 3 months, and if we don't have somebody in place that needs to be in place, then the city has to step in and pay for the next 3 months. That way, everybody knows that we're covered, no matter what, y'all are not exceeding what y'all wanted to spend. You know that we have it, and also if the mayor is able to come through and the new council is able to vote on the economic director, nobody's at a loss for any money. I feel like that's a win-win for everybody, is it not?
It's,
Y'all get it on paper that we'll pay if we don't have somebody in place to do those things, and y'all just foot the first 3 months because y'all only want half
Yeah,
of the 6
that's
months?
not a problem for us at all. I would have to discuss it with the board. What we're asking is funding, because again, we did not want to be, if something happens where the economic developer, the ED, is pushed back or something, we did not want the authority to continue to be in limbo. We wanted to have someone in place to go ahead and operate while we gave the city time to go through the proper processes of getting someone vetted and getting someone in.
But if we have that person and y'all don't need the consultant anymore.
Correct. We can transition, and that's exactly what I put in the email to the mayor, that this would be a collaborative, that because it would be Mr. Hooker, he would already be in the capacity of working on what he was supposed to, what we had already agreed to, and that he would naturally just transition over into ED. The concern was we needed someone now, and we couldn't get, because again, as Mayor Pro Tem Messick said, it hasn't even been bought, so you don't even know who this person is. This was a private conversation between me, mayor, and Mr. Hooker. It hasn't even been bought to council. The contract hasn't even been bought to the city attorney. It's still a process in place, and that process can very well take a whole quarter or 3 months.
no, it won't take that long. It shouldn't, but again, we can negotiate. I do want to ask, I was trying to find the minutes for the last DDA meeting. Was it a motion to approve a consultant for up to $18,000 in your last minutes?
Yes.
Did you see that?
They did 3,000 for 6 months.
$3,000 for 6 months, okay. All righty, well, thank you so very much, we appreciate your time. All right, next on the agenda, council, is there any additional public comment? Yes. If you just state your name. It's twice.
Larry Jones,
You state your address, please.
204 King Street, Jonesboro. Let me just speak very briefly. It's kind of a moot point at this point. I think that it's easy for us in the political realm to lose sight of what our mission is. Mission is the people's business. So much of what I hear when I come to council meetings is not the people's business. It's personal agendas. And the biggest part as a taxpayer, and I'm speaking now as a taxpayer, I hear so many things that are brought up that, I need a mic? Okay. Don't even need one, but the costs are outrageous. And it's taxpayer money. One councilperson has brought up so much better things that we could do with the money. I wanted to make comments in October with the meeting about the investigation. I've done audits. I was a business manager at Morehouse School of Religion at one point. And the recommendation for what the audit was ludicrous. Am I too loud? Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. It was ludicrous. The scope was so broad, it had no meaning whatsoever. So anything, as the gentleman referred to it earlier, anything the attorney brought back, if you don't know where you're going, wherever you arrive is there. And so he could say anything and then charge the council, which means charging the taxpayers, which is what's happened, for virtually no results. And it keeps going on over and over again. And it's easy, and I've been in positions too where you're spending somebody else's money. It's easy to spend somebody else's money. You wouldn't do that with your personal funds. And money keeps getting spent for frivolous investigations, and that's what these are. I certainly think a mayor or anyone else should be held accountable for any misdeeds or fraudulent activity. Even though I voted for the mayor, I wanted to hear about whether there was something done that was fraudulent. Obviously, that was not the case. And because that was not the case, now we've moved from financial to administrative policy issues. Well, that's really the people's business. And until we vote for a different mayor, then we're with whoever it is. But I would just recommend, and this is, like I say, it's a moot point because we'll have a new council, but even with the new council, if we don't start doing things that are more concerned about the people's business and stop wasting taxpayer money, which is what's going on over and over again. If I was an attorney, I would love to do business with Jonesboro. Because I wouldn't have to do anything. I could say anything and hit you with a bill that you gotta pay. And it's nonsense. Other cities have had issues with, the sister cities to us have had issues where they had questions about the mayor, and what they did is they went to their ethics board and resolved the matter for free, rather than spending all kinds of money for questionable attorneys. They resolved it for free. And also in a manner, I think that was more uplifting in terms of the unity of the people. We're in a political environment in this nation where many of us just seem to want to be divisive, and we just want to stay divided and make our point. And you know, as a citizen, I'm just asking that somebody will start thinking about unity
Time.
for the people of this city, which should be on the come up, could be on the come up, but until we start getting together and stop with, the gentleman before talked about regime change and demographic change, and it's always difficult, but there's got to be good faith.
Thank you, Mr. Larry.
Somebody's got to think about the people. That's all I would say. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any additional public comment? Yes.
Good morning, Mayor and City Council members. Can you hear me? Yes. He's so tall. Okay. I'm Tiara Turner. I'm a business owner on Main Street. I'm also the vice chair currently of the Downtown Development Authority. So I just want to make some comments regarding today. The Downtown Development Authority exists to serve the city of Jonesboro, its businesses, and its residents. It is meant to operate independently, transparently, and without fear of obstruction. Right now, the DDA is struggling to do just that, due to not lack of willingness from its board members, but because of ongoing structural and operational barriers that must be addressed, right? I'm committed to doing the work the right way. That means following the law, respecting government's boundaries, and ensuring that every decision made is in its best interest of the Downtown Development Authority, not personal preferences, nor politics, nor fear. This is a pivotal moment. We can either continue in this cycle of disruption, or we can choose clarity, accountability, and collaboration. I'm asking that we have support solutions that restore functionality, protect the integrity of the DDA, and allow us to move forward with purpose. And I stand ready to work with anyone who's willing to put the mission first. Our downtown deserves this level of leadership, and so does our community. As we have downtown business owners here today, you know, for support. We truly need the DDA. Our downtown businesses are struggling. We need help. We can't do this. The DDA needs the city, you know, and I feel like it's a vice versa. But I'm here as a new member. I've only been on board for 3 months, and I'm pleading for help. This constant back and forth, to be honest, I'm worried because I'm trying to think, what have I got myself involved in? Like, is this going to hurt my business? Is this going to hurt my reputation? I want to have a good professional working relationship with every last one of you. I want to be involved more with what the city has going on. I want it to be I can't have a conversation with her unless it's on paper. That's scary, because who can you trust? Who am I talking to? So thank you for your support and your time. I got to go back to work and put kids in the Navy. I will talk to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you again for your service as always. Council, was there any other public comment? Did we need to go into executive session?
Mayor, did you want to discuss the interviews that we had?
Hold on one second. I haven't packed up everything. Hold on a second. What interview?
For the city manager, or did you want to wait till?
Wait till January, we're still. So if there's no further business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor? Any opposition? Thank you all so much for coming.
One thing about it, Suzanne, so Billy always knows.
Mayor, is anyone coming in here? I got a minute. I need to fill out my suitor stuff.
Oh, no, you're fine. It's just gonna get cold. It's just gonna get cold.
Hey, if I'm cold, I don't call if it's when I get cold.
I'm about to bring toys inside, so I'm going to put my car in.